Oh my God. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Grief2Grace Stories. How are you doing? How are you doing? I'm so excited to be with you today. It's been a very beautiful week. Last week was so awesome, and I know today is going to be another exciting episode again. So I just want to thank you for joining. Where are you joining us from today? What are you doing right now? How are you feeling? Um we always ask you that question, how are you doing? Because I know it's so difficult sometimes for people. Sometimes you don't even know how you're feeling. Sometimes you don't want to move out. You just need somebody to talk to. And that is why we're here at Grief to Grace. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am your host, Ruth Hephzibah, and today I am joined with a truly inspiring guest. Have you ever considered starting over again at 60? You know, every time I tell you, it is very possible to have a fresh start. A fresh start is possible, and that is what we believe here at Grief to Grace. So I don't know what you are going through, but I tell you, I have a guest in the house who started over at 60. Can you imagine that? So, how old are you that you feel you will not be able to start over again? So, I just want you to join us today and listen to this grief story. How he underwent a lot of issues that almost to, got him, he lost himself totally. His story is a profound one of loss, of courage, rebuilding, and after all that had gone through, he had to survive cancer, battled with addiction, faced suicidal thoughts, and also he had to endure the collapse of his family, friends, businesses, home, just so much that he went through. And at 60, at the end of his whole life, that he thought, normally someone would say, oh yes, I am done. Where am I going to start all over again from? What can become of me? No, his story didn't end there. His story didn't end there. No, he didn't allow his story to end there. He made sure that he survived. Okay, and that can be you. Now he's helping every other person who wants to move out of being stuck. He's helping them break free from what he calls the story mind, the internal narrative that traps us in a cycle of pain and suffering. So sometimes we are just there, stuck like we don't even know how to move. And all this story I'm talking about is about one great man that decided to take charge of his life. Like you need to take charge of your life. His name is Dallas Collins. He is also known as the sustained hour coach and emotional baggage handler. So, what is that emotional baggage that you're carrying around? You want to stay back and hear his story, right? You want to stay back and know what he went through, how he was able to navigate all these and came back to knowing that yes, this is me and I need to take charge of my life again. Right? So it can be you. It can be you. It can be me. It's really a very inspiring story, I tell you, and you want to be here to hear it and to know how you can drop those emotional baggages that you're carrying and how you can move from one level of your life to the other stage of your life. But I'll be bringing him up shortly. Before then, I just want to talk to you and introduce to you, as usual, my book, A Pen That Rewrites Grief. Scan the QR code right now. This book is from my heart to you, straight from the heart to you. This book is a book that my heart laid bare. It's a journey of loss. I went through a lot of losses, grief, and all of it. And this book is a powerful act of healing through writing. And like I always say, you are the pen that rewrites grief. So this is a 60-day healing guide that can help you in your journey. It is that guide that is centered on your journey through the valleys of all the losses that you've been through, the heights of hope, everything that you're going through. Don't worry, this book can help you. And if you purchase this book, I'm going to give you 50% off from it if you purchase this book, and if you write in the comment and or send us an email to grief2gracenow@gmail.com, you can win a 30 minutes coaching session with me, and you will be so amazed how much we'll be able to help you define your grief. So what is your grief? What are you going through? This book can take you out of there. So now we'll be bringing back um, all that we've been talking about. It's been a very amazing journey. It's been a very amazing journey here at Grief to Grace. Before we get started, I just want you to click on the like button, share this link to somebody, let them know that there is a killer in town, and that killer is grief. So I don't know what grief you're going through right now. You too can share your story. You too can be part of Grief to Grace. You too can be that instrument that can be used in this journey. And I want to thank all of you that keep listening, keep joining us. Every day our audiences are like increasing. And I just want to say thank you because you believe in us and we are not taking it for granted. And because of that, we are trying to share our space with as many of you that want to be part of Grief to Grace. You can share your story because this is a ministry God gave to me. So it's about helping other people. If you know you have content that will help other people. It is a free platform. You can share your story in there. You can share your whole whatever your content there, as long as you are reaching out and helping as many people so that we can make the world a better place. So today, now I want to bring to you Dallas Collins. Is the sustained our coach who has been through all this journey that we talked about. He's been through all of it. But before we do that, I just want to say a word of prayer. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you for bringing us here. Thank you for not allowing grief to hold us down. Father, we present our guests, Dallas, and everyone listening into your hand, and we say, Lord, you will do what no man can do in their lives. In Jesus' name, amen. So the next voice you'll be hearing when we come back is the voice of Dallas. Hello, Dallas. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ruth. Great to be here.
Good morning. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Because when I went through your story, I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. A fresh start is truly possible. Anybody can have a fresh start, anybody can begin again. And all of it that you've been through has been just a lot, and you didn't allow it to deter you. So, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Every day is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. So, we want to start by you painting your story to our listeners today. You know, when you sent me all of that and we talked about it, on when you sent those stuff, you talked about the year of life collapses that you've been through. So you want to walk us through all of this that you've been through and how you were able to navigate it and become who you are today.
Certainly, Ruth. Let's begin with maybe an agreement between us that everyone searches for the same thing, and that is happiness, a happy, joyful life. We all want peace, beauty, love, and happiness in our lives. And if we can agree that that is what everyone searches for in their life, we have to ask what is stopping us. And what stops us is our story. You have a story of your life. I have a story of my life. From the time we're children, everything that happens to us, everything we hear, we learn, everything we go through becomes a part of our story that we realize at some point is who we are. The self that I am is my story, my history, my past. And like everyone in early childhood, we often are traumatized by events, and I was bullied and abused psychologically and physically. I came out of my childhood knowing I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I was a failure, and that life was going to be hard. And I believed that. I believed that that was who I was. And so life is hard. That's called emotional baggage, and you carry that with you. And it's painful, and it's heavy, and it tires you out. And everyone has some amount of this baggage in their life. And we go through ways of how do we deal with it. And the first addiction that almost everyone chooses is called blame. I blame my past. I blame my parents. I blame my school. I blame my church. I blamed everything outside of me for what I thought was wrong with me. And that's an attempt to not take any responsibility. It's not my fault. It's your fault. And so that begins to wear off for people who are in deep pain, like myself. And I need a stronger addiction. And so mine was drugs and alcohol to try and get away from the anger and pain that I felt inside. These are all attempts to get that pain away, to medicate it, to numb my feelings so I don't feel it so bad. And I went into a marriage with a woman who was carrying the same baggage, in the same pain. And so you've got working together alcoholics and drug addicts. And from the outside, we have a house, we have cars, we have vacation, two beautiful children, a successful business together. We look normal. We look successful. Of course, under the roof of that house is a war. It's a terrible, terrible situation to be in. And I got lucky. I woke up one morning with cancer. And it was the best day of my life because it began to open a door. It began to open a new path in life. And over a 12-month period, I call it the year of life collapse because I went through cancer and treatment. I lost my wife. I lost my house. I lost my family in any way you can imagine. I lost our business. And I ended up alone and broken, suicidal, and still an alcoholic.
I can imagine.
And when you get to that point, you're in complete grief because
Yeah.
you're grieving the loss of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Before it's over, you have lost everything that meant who you were. Your entire story is in shambles, is torn apart in front of you, and it's an incredibly lost place. And you're in regret for everything you may have done. You're in guilt for everything you did. It's pure pain. You're living in it. And grace arrives, I think, on the edge of suffering. And for me, it was a voice on a podcast. And a man made this statement. And we have to preface this and say, all human beings, you, me, and everyone else, all our knowledge, all our understanding of life, everything we are about comes from yesterday. It comes from our past.
Hmm.
from knowing our journey, our story. I call it the story mind. We live from that story. So when this man said this line, it destroyed my story.
Hmm.
And the line he said was, "Show me yesterday." That's all. But my brain said, "You're right. I can't go to a cupboard, Ruth, and I can't pull yesterday out and go, look,
Look
look,
at.
Ruth, here's yesterday." It doesn't exist.
But
Where is
that's
it?
true.
What is the reality of my yesterdays?
Wow.
And right away I thought, if this story that I have believed is me, a story that has given me all this pain and suffering,
Hmm.
almost killed me.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, it's not real. It's
Hmm.
a belief. It's a
Yeah.
story I have believed.
Hmm.
And we are simply beings of belief. You
Yes.
have, Ruth has believed things 10 years ago that she doesn't believe today.
Yes.
And she will believe things in 10 years that she doesn't believe today.
Hmm.
So, what is the truth of our belief outside of us believing in it?
Hmm.
And so, for me, I said, if my story tried to kill me, I don't need that story. There's no reason for me to carry it. There's no law. There's no ultimate truth that I must be that story.
Hmm.
Those are the bags. So I put them down and say, you don't serve me. There's no reason to carry you forward. And it was only in that moment of such deep pain and willing to end my life that
Hmm.
I realized what my life was. And it has nothing to do with that story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started by saying we all want happiness,
Yeah.
peace, beauty, love. That's all we want.
Yes.
When you look into a brand new baby's face and eyes, all we ever see is beauty, love, and happiness. What we're seeing is not the baby. We're seeing our true nature, our heart reflected back to us. That
Yeah.
we are that beauty, love, and happiness. That's all we are. And all our story does is cover it up. It gets in the way of the truth of who we are. And we live in this story, this fiction that causes every problem in life. And they don't really exist. We hold them in our mind. We carry the pain and suffering. It's not out there.
Hmm.
My mother died 6 weeks ago.
Wow.
Just a few hours before her death, I looked down into her face and eyes. And what did I see? I saw the baby. I saw the peace, the beauty, the love, the happiness of life. It's the same thing. At the beginning of life and at the end of life, we see the reflection of our heart, of who we are. So our job is to understand that the journey is to be that all the time, to not let this story get in the way and control us
Yeah.
and make us think this importance of the outside world is beating us up.
Hmm.
There's no reason to believe that or be there. That's my story.
Wow. This is intriguing. Really, because I am an advocate of a fresh start. I believe that a fresh start is possible. Irrespective of where you've been, a fresh start is always possible. You can start anywhere in life. You can start from any place. You can do what no man, what you feel you couldn't do before, you can start doing them again. Okay? So, and when I see your story the way it is, I know that people, most times people are like, how do I get to where I'm going? You know? But in your own situation, what you did was you were able to use your story because you can actually get healing anywhere. Your healing actually came from just a little podcast that you listened to, just one word, and it changed your whole life forever. And
Yeah.
that's why I always believe in the power of story share and of story sharing, sharing your story and helping other people get to where they need to be. So you talked about your the minds the story mind. I'm actually curious. I want to know what that's all about and how you people can actually work become like story mind. That's you know what I mean. So what is story mind and how does it really help other people?
Ruth, I meet you at a lunch and someone introduces me to you. And I say, nice to meet you, Ruth. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And that's a key word because you know who you are by your story, by your history. And you access your story mind, which is like the script of your movie. And you begin telling me your story. That's how you explain yourself. Well, I'm a mother. I'm a teacher. I'm I'm a plumber. I'm a construction worker. Whatever it is, you begin telling me that level of your position in life. As we get to know each other better, you go down a little lower and you may talk about your children, your family, your relationships. And then you will go even deeper when we know each other better. And that deep part is the deep story. And that is your childhood, what you've been through, what has shaped you, what's made you believe certain things about yourself, limitations you believe about yourself, things you think are wrong with you, mistakes you think you've made, things that have hurt you. And this is the deep story mind because this is ever present. It's that voice in the back of our head that comes up and says, oh, be careful. You might make a mistake. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you shouldn't do this. That voice comes from the deep story, a place that is a solid, strong belief that doesn't change over time. When you're 10 years old, most of that story has been put in place by other people and events in your life. You had no choice in it. And when you're 60, that voice from those first 10 years crops up all the time and says, be careful, look out, don't get hurt. You can't trust them. Understand that it is constantly there. That is the baggage. That is the only thing that gets in the way in our life. We hold on to this belief in this story. And it makes no sense because it's not real. It's a memory. That's all it is. If I'm abused when I'm a child, that event happened. It's real.
Yeah.
But it took place 50 years ago, or 40 years ago, or 20 years ago. It's not happening now. It's only present now because I keep it in my memory. I carry the baggage. And you can get to a place where you understand you don't have to attach yourself to things. If I attach myself to you and I need Ruth's love to make me feel better, then I've given my power away to you. So if you leave me, I'm heartbroken. I'm
That's
hurt.
it.
I'm upset. but you have no real power.
Hmm.
Whether you love me or not has nothing to do with me. It is me that has created the idea that I need this.
Hmm.
So much of our story mind, we think we need it because it says who we are. See,
Hmm.
no one has to find the place to start over because it's always with you.
Yeah.
You are a blue sky and sunshine. You're just looking at the clouds.
Yeah.
Behind the clouds, you are always the blue sky and sunshine.
Hmm.
Stop staring at the clouds.
Hmm.
Let them go by. Don't spend time with them.
Hmm.
That's the baggage. It
Wow.
serves you no purpose.
Wow. That's
We're here to be
awesome.
happy. We're here to be loving, happy, beautiful people. That's all. That's all. We think life is this huge event. We think it's this politics and war and famine and disease and all the problems of the world. But the
Hmm.
reality is, we're just you and I right here now talking.
Yeah.
We're sharing love. We're sharing happiness. We're sharing just being who we are.
Hmm.
That's all we need to do.
Wow. Hmm. That's really deep. That's really deep because really thinking about it, that's true. Because we really need to like drop all of those stuff behind. Wow. This is awesome. So thank you so much for joining today. But I just have one more question for you, you know, because I looked at, you talked about the road of grace, you talked about all of these things, that you've been through. You talked about so much that you've been through. You talked about how cancer. I'm always particular about cancer because I lost my husband to cancer, and I know a number of things. I tell people one of those things that really make a lot of people sick and die is the grief associated with the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like cancer doesn't kill, but the grief associated with it is what kills faster. So
Yes.
how were you able to navigate all of those journey, you know, and didn't allow, is it like you didn't allow the grief to weigh you down and you were able to now get what you wanted?
Because I realized I was attaching myself to external forces.
Mm,
I was saying something had me,
mm,
something I needed was out there. And when you attach yourself to the external in life, you don't have control of your life.
mm,
You've placed it out there. It's like, I'll be happy when I achieve this, when I get the car, when I get the house, when I get the promotion, that I will suddenly find this happiness. We are always looking outside to find something. And when disease comes along, it is, people will say they were attacked by cancer. Their body has been invaded. And I believe the reality is we created it in ourselves
mm,
through our lifestyle, through our worry, through our own struggles. We create disorder and dis-ease in our bodies because we're not attached to ourselves. We're attached to something outside, and we think that will fix it. And the reality is, our best moments in life are always when we are just peaceful and calm within ourselves. And that's the key to all of life. You don't need to find anything, you already have it. You don't need to go anywhere, you're already there. Nothing outside of you will give you this great life, this better life, or save you from some pain. You already have everything you need. Everyone does. Because our reality, our nature is beauty. and love and happiness. You cannot go outside and look at a beautiful flower and not feel some connection, not see the beauty. That's who we are. And we forget it in the storm of all the things that can happen and all the blaming we do and pointing of fingers, all the judging and comparing between each other. And none of it serves any purpose because you are everything you need. You're not going to get better. You're already great.
You're
You're the
right.
most, Ruth, you're the most important person in the world
You're right.
because your world wouldn't be here if you weren't here.
Hmm.
Every person is the most important person on the world.
Hmm.
That's the self acceptance of beauty and love. And then we just share it with one another. You don't give it away, you don't get it from someone. We just share it with each other. You can't get more love. You can't lose your love. You are love.
Hmm.
Just share it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Our time is really like fast spent, but I'm not going to leave without sharing our nuggets that we usually get from our stories. So, I would just want to, for all of you listening today, I got a lot. I don't know what you got, but I'm going to share what I learned from this. Okay. So, what I learned is that one, drop the bags, the emotional baggage we carry, the past pains, the regrets, the guilt isn't ours to hold forever. So letting go isn't about forgetting, it is about freeing ourselves from the weight that holds us back. So I don't know what you're going through today. Drop those bags now. So the second thing I got from it is that you have nothing to do with your story. Your past doesn't define you. The story mind might try to stop trap you in painful narrative, but you are not your struggles. You are the author of what comes next. So, and the last one that I got from it today is that show me yesterday. A simple but powerful reminder that yesterday is gone. You can't go back or change it. All you have is today. Focus on what you can do now, not what you wish you had done. So, based on all of these, I just want to say thank you for joining us today because it's been a very beautiful journey with Dallas. And I just want to say thank you, Dallas, for coming. But before we go, I would just want to admonish us to get a copy of our book, A Pen That Rewrites Grief. A Pen That Rewrites Grief is that 60-day guide that you need in your journey. Also, people always ask, how can we help? When you scan this QR code, we have a number of ways you can help because you look up on the screen, you see Adopt the Grieving Family. It's very key and that's like a pet project. And we always encourage people to adopt a grieving family. You can do it in so many ways. You can help with gift cards, you can help with collaborations, you can help adopt them for a year, for a month, or something. But one thing you need to know is that when people are grieving, they can hardly do a lot of stuff and they can hardly think for themselves. So Adopt a Grieving Family is that project that is very there and key to our hearts. And I just want you to know that and that you can help. And if you scan the QR code, you see we have coloring books, we have a lot of stuff for kids that you can also participate in and help them to have a very beautiful life. So thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to be with us. You know, don't forget to tell somebody about us today. But before I leave, I want to ask Dallas, how can people reach you?
Well, if you have my name, Dallas Collis at gmail.com. It's that easy. It's hard to
Oh.
hide today.
So I've already added that in the description below. So if you look at the description, definitely you'll be able to reach out to him. Uh, and I know that you've learned something because I did. And always remember that a fresh start is truly always possible. So till we meet again next week, I just want you to know that I love you and we love you, but don't forget, it's Grief to Grace on all platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe as much as you can. Share it. Share our shorts. Share our likes. Share everything. Share the video. Talk to somebody about it. Let them know that there is a group. There is that platform where you can actually make that is making impact. There is a platform where you can hear other people's stories and you can be blessed. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dallas, for joining us. Thank you, every one of you that's listening and joined us today in today's live. We have over 400 people right now that joined us in this live. I just want to say thank you for joining us. And I know that is definitely going to be an awesome day for you and an awesome week as we continue to go. Thank you and God bless you. Have a very beautiful day. Bye.